Hi, this is Group 15. Our group members are Ikram, Andy, Serhiel, Sophia, and me, Aishwarya. Today, we are presenting our research on virtual private networks. I'll start with a quick introduction. We use the internet every day, and a lot of our information gets tracked without us noticing. A VPN basically gives you a private and a secure connection so your data isn't exposed on the public or shared networks. With more remote work and rising cybersecurity threats, VPNs are becoming more important for both individual and organizations. In our project, we looked at what a VPN is and how it works and the different types and why is it an important part of online privacy and security.
So a VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. It is a network that creates a protected and encrypted connection between your device, such as mobile, computers, and whatnot, and to a remote server. When you're on when you're on an untrusted or public network, VPN masks your IP address and ensures that your data cannot be intercepted or read. This gives your privacy by this protects your privacy by hiding your location and network identity while being confidential. And see here you can see the difference how VPN protects your connection versus when you're on a public or unsecured network. It doesn't really do anything or doesn't really hide your location. So there are various types of VPNs. So for different uses, it could be from whether you're working from home or you're on site. And then in organizations, VPNs are commonly used to allow employees securely access resources and internal systems from home or traveling, or using unsecured public networks, ensuring that your connection is private and secured. So that helps ensure that sensitive information resources such as databases or internet applications are only accessible through an encrypted connection. With network security changing, it must be continued to strengthen. So many organizations are adapting new security frameworks such as like Zero Trust VPN, which is a combination between Zero Trust and VPN to strengthen and protect sensitive data. VPNs are being combined with newer security frameworks. So it's important to understand how they work and disadvantages of using them and advantages.
So now we're going to talk about why VPNs are important. One of the main reasons is privacy and anonymity. The internet sites do collect IP addresses, location, browsing habits. Without the VPN, this data is visible to corporations and governments and attackers. Um, a real world example of this was in 2017, Equifax had a breach that led to 147.9 million Americans' identities to be exposed. This was caused due to vulnerabilities in Equifax's online dispute portal. So there was a lack of encryption, and which caused and a lack of network segmentation. So as you can see on that photo on that right side, it kind of describes what exactly happened. And this is information gathered from what Equifax brought and stated happened. So the attackers pretty much scanned vulnerabilities on servers. They looked on the web. They found that there was some vulnerabilities in their dispute portal servers. What they did was they took documents through that for personally identifiable information. Then it kind of just kept going, and then they started locating additional servers and login credentials for employees. And then they were able to get through to these servers and get all this private information. In total, it was about 76 days that they were on there. Um, and so, yeah, like I said, there was a lot of information that was taken by these hackers. At the end of everything, the cost was about $1.38 billion for Equifax. Uh, if some of the things, according to Breach Sense, that could have helped was if encrypted VPN connections and proper segmentation were put in place. The hackers would have had fewer entry points, so they wouldn't have got all that information, and it probably would have been completely mitigated. Network segmentation, if you guys didn't know what that is, it's It's when different parts of a computer network or network zones are separated by devices like firewalls, switches, and routers. We kind of learned about this in this module where large networks have multiple firewalls to protect their servers. We had talked about a little bit of uh, like having the SQL server be kind of like the last part, firewall being in there, then the web server, then another firewall, then a bastion host, and then another firewall, and then eventually goes out to the internet. So that's kind of having that redundancy in place really helps secure your networks. Next, um, another reason why VPNs are important is secure remote work. So now with the pandemic and everything, remote work has become a bigger deal, which also leads to more vulnerabilities for companies. And then, and because people are accessing the internet through either their home Wi-Fi or public Wi-Fi, or using personally owned devices for work purposes, this causes a lot of vulnerabilities that may be possible. A real world example of uh, using public Wi-Fi and it getting into the wrong hands is in 2005. TJX, which is a company that's pretty much in charge of like Marshalls, Home Goods, very well-known company. They had their Wi-Fi hacked because they used poor security protocols, which was WEP, wired equivalent privacy. And I attached a photo here on the right side, kind of showing why it's vulnerable. The key highlight is the key management. As you can see, the WEP has uh, no no key management provided. The WPA and WPA2 is what we, or WPA2 is more common now, and WPA3 is what is more common now. As you can see, there's like a four-way handshake there, communication. So kind of helps, it does help out a lot with more security. So as a result of this hack, the TJX, 45 million customer records were still exploited, and they were that includes like credit card information, names, other sensitive information, including employee usernames and passwords. At the end of it, TJ Maxx or TK Maxx actually ended up paying about $55 million in lawsuits and fines because of this. A way that VPNs could have solved this is by encrypting connections, creating a secure tunnel to the organization, and protecting business continuity. Um, And then moving forward, another reason why VPNs are important is protection from hackers and surveillance. As mentioned with the real world examples before, hackers can get into unencrypted traffic and steal logins, financial data, and personal information. As mentioned before, VPNs solve this by encrypting all the data, masking your IP address, and hiding traffic patterns. And then on the right side there, there's just a kind of a couple photos there without a VPN. As you can see, your your device goes from the internet service provider to straight to the internet without any um, sort of way to mask your IP address, which makes it vulnerable to government entities, prying eyes, and hackers. So, moving forward, another reason why VPNs are important is they do allow you to access restricted content, such as bypassing geographic restrictions on streaming sites, research databases, and corporate networks abroad. Um, a strong consideration for this is it may not be against the law to access streaming sites per se if you're like overseas or somewhere else. However, you may violate the terms of agreement, terms of service agreement that you have with like Hulu or ESPN or something like that. And the reason for this is basically they copyright this content to prevent illegal distribution of content, but as mentioned before, these VPNs can bypass that and can be used for like research databases and like if you're doing some kind of research or going to school or something like that and you need to research something and you don't have access to it because you're in a different country or you're on vacation or you need to work while you're on vacation somewhere overseas, it would be important that and necessary for you to access some of the some of the content for your business. So that's one of the reasons why you could use another VPN and one of the very important reasons for business continuity.
How does VPN works in the background? Like it was mentioned earlier, but VPN works behind the scenes by using the encryption protocol for all the data of your device sends and receive, preventing attacks from hackers and any potential threat that comes with your personal data. They use a tunnel, so you use your VPN, I mean your IP, and the VPN service will encrypt the data using the tunnel, as is shown in the picture. From there, your IP is still hidden. It will be IP masking through the VPN service, and that VPN IP address will be used on the whatever browser or server internet you've been using. Some services could be like from NordVPN, TunnelBear, ExpressVPN, and Surfshark. And then some of the common practices that most people use when it comes to VPN are privacy, which is a really huge thing when it comes to VPN. People want to protect the data because there's a lot of data that being stored online and not much physically. And so people want to protect that kind of data as well as hiding their IP address because from DDoSing or whatever it may be. And then bypassing region-based country restriction, as was mentioned earlier, you can still watch and access certain website in other country while you're doing abroad or traveling, and then remote access to work so that you can still do your work while you're not physically there because some businesses they only want you to access certain kind of work if you're physically there, and one way around is just using VPN to access that kind of work. And like everything else has their own pros and cons. And so one of the advantage of VPN is masking IP address from servers, home content abroad, and the internet freedom. And it may reduce internet traffic for some, but what I mean by it may reduce because also one of the disadvantage of the VPN is slower internet speed because since it's doing the extra work of encrypting and routing your IP, being there's using more of their end power, and so it may be slower your internet speed when accessing content, as well as some VPN servers have been into lawsuits or dispute when it comes to selling their own customer data, even if they said that they were protected data. And so some VPN got into lawsuit for that because they're selling their data to advertisement at other companies. And also, you're not 100% anonymously, as many people were saying, but it's still anonymous, but it's not fully anonymous. And then one of the questions that comes a lot when it comes to VPN is it illegal? And short answer is no. Long answer, it depends because well, majority countries in the world, it is not. For some countries, it may be illegal or even limited. And how is it being limited or being forced to? There are many different ways, but a few ways is through backdoor access. For example, in Russia, where you can still have a VPN as long as you register it with the Russian government. And so the reason being so the Russia can monitor and just making sure that people are not doing anything illegal in their country, as well as our firewall. So that because in, in China, they want to just like it's not illegal, but they still want to protect their own people's data and their own citizen from whatever threats that may come in their nation or their own people, as well as some government control VPNs, because even some government they offer VPNs for for their people or the citizen, as long as they just don't do anything illegal. And like I said earlier, there's not such things 100% anonymously online. And the next special just show not everything, but up to date almost to what countries may be illegal or even banned, while others is mainly control or monitor, while most of the world is still illegal. And then what to consider when picking the VPN service. There are a few things to consider when coming to VPN services. One of them is reputation, because while having a high reputation, it may come more into trusting them more often, which drives from VPNs that are very popular to other VPNs that are not well known, as well as privacy and anonymity, because privacy is a very, very big thing for VPNs, as well as personal data protected and not being used for advertisement, as some VPNs have broke that trust between the business side and the own client base, as well as encryption and database, and also how many data breaches have been in the past with that certain VPN or even that company as well as just making sure that your local and federal government laws when it comes to VPN laws and policy that come with.
I'm going to go over the conclusion and takeaways on why VPN has become essential for everyday internet use. VPN provides protection for both privacy and security when using public and shared networks. By hiding your IP and encrypting your network traffic, this reduces your ability to be tracked by ISPs, advertisers, and from anything bad. This gives you more control over how you want your activities to be viewed. Most companies have started to use VPNs as an alternative to protect their data and other business-related information, while remote employees utilize poor quality home Wi-Fi connections, which has increased in frequency due to more remote work. There are some countries that either limit or ban the use of VPNs. Therefore, it is crucial for users to look at their local laws and regulations prior to connecting to any VPN. When choosing a VPN service provider, it is important to select a provider who offers a no logs privacy policy, uses strong encryption, supports both mobile and desktop operating systems, and most importantly, sees all of the traffic being sent through the VPN. VPNs greatly reduces the risk of data interception, provides secure remote access, and allows users to view content that may have been geographically restricted due to a user's location. These three areas demonstrate why VPN should be considered a core component for reaching basic levels of cybersecurity. Thank you.